Hello students, you are welcome to Nunia Search English classes. Today we will study second chapter of grade 10 entitled Nelson Mandela A Long Walk to Freedom. Actually this chapter is a small part of autobiography of Nelson Mandela. In this video we'll study something about the author, then we'll see the explanation and the theme of the chapter. About the author. Nelson Mandela was born in 1918 and he died in 2013. He was an anti-apartheid revolutionary. Apartheid is a system according to which human beings are discriminated on the basis of their skin color and the ethnic group they come from. So he was anti-apartheid revolutionary. He was a political leader as well as a philanthropist. He used to work for the welfare of the human beings. That is called philanthropist. He was born to very well-to-do tribal family and he enjoyed everything in his childhood. But later on, when he grew mature, he realized that everything was not in the right shape. The people of his community were discriminated badly, which hurt him a lot, and he jumped into the movement of freedom for the black. And for that, he was arrested and put behind bars many times. In total, he spent almost 27 plus years in imprisonment only. But later on, his struggle and his efforts and his sacrifice bore the fruit and he was elected first black president on 10th May 1994. Inauguration ceremony. The chapter begins with this thing. So Nelson Mandela tells us that he was besieged that day, 10th May 1994, he was besieged by the dignitaries and the world leaders. He was surrounded by. Around him there were many big people of the world. Big people in the terms, businessmen, political leaders, social reformers, so many elite people were there. Over here in this first picture we can see Nelson Mandela standing in the center and all the people just cheering up and boosting up. Then he says that the seat of white supremacy. He's talking about the union buildings. This is the union buildings and the oath ceremony. This inauguration ceremony, oath ceremony, took place in this amphitheater. This amphitheater is constructed with the help of this sandstone and it is having a very large capacity for the audience. So the ceremony took place over here. This amphitheater is the part of this union building, which is called to be the seat of white supremacy. Means this building used to be the headquarters for the white people. He says a rainbow gathering of different colors and nations. That day, 10th May, witnessed a huge audience from far and wide, coming from far and wide and from different corners of the world. We can see in the picture a huge gathering is there and they are called the rainbow gathering. The people call rainbow gathering. Why this gathering has been called the rainbow? Rainbow is multicolor, vibgyor. That is the seven colors are there. So the people from different races, people from different religions and different ethnic groups, they came and took part in that ceremony to witness the beautiful and the glorious moment in the history of South Africa. It was the day when South African people, they installed their first democratic and non-racial government. Earlier to it, the government was racial. The reason being, there was apartheid custom being followed by the white. The black were oppressed and suppressed very cruelly and very badly. They were treated just like animals. So it was a very golden moment in the history of South African government and especially in the lives of the black and the Negroes. Inauguration ceremony. During that ceremony, 3 people were elected to the supreme posts. What were they? First one in the center we can see Nelson Mandela himself standing there. To his left is Mr. Thabo Mbeki, who was elected as the first deputy president. And to his right is Mr. Frederick William de Klerk, who was elected as second deputy president. Presidential oath by Nelson Mandela. When Nelson Mandela took oath, he just read out these things. He expressed his feelings in this way. So 7 points are there which we can discuss about. He said that he would obey and uphold the constitution. He'll always respect and regard the law, the order given in the constitution, African constitution, and will always devote his life to the service of the republic and the people. Then he said that this presence of the people, it confers glory. It makes the moment, this moment, present moment, more beautiful, and it gives hope to the newborn liberty. He addresses the people, says that you people have gathered over here to witness this ceremony, and your presence on this day gives us a lot of strength. It gives us a hope for the future also, and this hope is attached to the newborn democratic government. Then he says that the outlaws given privileges to host the nations. Outlaws means because the other countries and their leaders were not happy with the apartheid custom in South Africa. So they started breaking and snapping their relations, political and diplomatic relations from South Africa. But now when this democratic government came into existence, they happily came to join that gathering, and they just try to re-establish their bonding and relations once again. So he says that yes, once upon a time we have been the outlaws, means the world community started separating from us. They started to breaking off and away from us. But now we are lucky to host you over here, to give you a warm welcome on this very glorified day and the glorious day. A common victory for justice, for peace, and for human dignity. And this government is the result of the victory. Victory of what? Victory of justice. This is the victory of justice and victory of peace. Yes, people carried out their demonstrations, but in a very peaceful way. And human dignity. Because the black were fighting for their rights. They are human beings and they need to be treated just like human beings. This was their fight and they had won that fight. At last achieved political emancipation. He says that after a long struggle, they got political freedom also. Now politically, they have got all those rights which make them and declare them the free community. Earlier they were having lot many bondages, shackles and chains on them, but now all the chains, all the bondages they got, you can say that just cut off from them. And then he says that on this precious occasion I take a pledge. These words are spoken by Nelson Mandela. I take pledge, I take a vow, I take an oath that I'll liberate people from the continuing bondage of poverty. He says that I'll try to do my level best to remove the poverty from the lives of the people. Then deprivation. I'll work specially for the deprived sections of the society. The people who are not given proper rights, I'll try to give them all the rights. I'll try to upgrade their living standards. Then suffering. I'll work for the happiness of the people, and gender and other discrimination, whatever the types of differentiations and discriminations has been practiced so far, he says that I'll iron them out. I'll stop them, I'll uproot them, and will try to bring such a dignity to the lives of the human beings where they can enjoy in their own way. And then he says that never, never, and never again shall it be that this beautiful land will again experience the oppression. And he says that let bygone be bygone. Whatever it happened in past has just become a past only, has become just history. But in future, I hope South African people will be enjoying their liberty in all the ways. And those black days will never return into their lives in future. No one will try to oppress one another. People won't try to enslave each other in the names of the white and the black. No, never. The sun will never set on so glorious a human achievement. Now, this is very important. What is this glorious human achievement? This glorious human achievement refers to the liberty to the black, especially the democratic government of South Africa, because country became democratic and a republic after a long struggle. The way Indians, that we also had been subject to the British for more than 2 centuries. And finally, on 15 August 1947, we got that emancipation, political emancipation. We became independent, and that we know how we celebrate. The same sense goes to the mind of the mind and heart of those people also. And Nelson Mandela says that this is the glorious human achievement. Getting freedom from all the shackles, from all the bondages, is the greatest human freedom. And let freedom reign. He wishes to God, he prays to God that this freedom should continue in times to come, in centuries to come. Air drill by the jets and helicopters. It's a very common custom whenever we celebrate Independence Day or Republic Day. We know that are all the three sections of the army, army and Air Force and Navy. So their delegates, they come and do some feat on motorbikes, as well as some drill parade is there, and their jets and helicopters do some feat in sky also. The same scene is over. He says that a spectacular array of South African jets, helicopters and troops carries rode in perfect formation over the Union buildings. So obviously that jets and helicopters, they were flying into the sky in a certain beautiful formation, and then it was a display of what? Display of precision. How perfectly trained the Air Force was, the soldiers were. It was a symbol of that. Then how powerful their military was. Again, it was a display of that also. It was also a demonstration of the military's loyalty to democracy, to a new government that had been freely and fairly elected. They were promising from the sky that now we are with the government. And then he says that once that drilling was over, then another lot of the chevron of Impala jets, another that group of the jets that came, and they made a flag in the sky with 5 different colors. That was the flag of South Africa. 5 colors: red, green, blue, gold and black. So these, with the help of these 5 colors, they made a beautiful flag in the sky, which was again a type of gesture that South Africa is gonna touch the sky in the during this their freedom and all. Double national anthem. Nelson Mandela tells us that in South Africa, people used to practice and they used to sing separate anthem. There was a national anthem for the white and national anthem for the black. For the black, it was known as apartheid anthem, also known as Call of South Africa. So he says that day, both the people, both the communities, they sang. Earlier they used to sing separately, and the white used to hate national anthem of the black and vice versa. But that day, both the national anthem, they were sung from the same platform, from the same stage. All the people standing together, black and white. So this national anthem is sung by the white, and diastem, this one is of the black people. The old anthem of the republic, although that day neither group knew the lyrics of the anthem, because the white did not know the lyrics of the national anthem of the black and vice versa. But he says that they would soon know the words by heart, because now it's gonna be the regular practice with the people. So now they will love to learn both the national anthems. They will sing together and will feel proud of their country and its integrity also. That was a very beautiful moment for everybody, especially for Nelson Mandela, because he had been the leader throughout and he had suffered a lot also, sacrificed a lot also. He says that on that particular moment, he got overwhelmed of the historical inhuman suppression. Now he was sitting over there, and now that his community, his people, they were just free, but his mind was flooded with all those past memories, how his community was cruelly treated, inhumanly treated by the white. Says that white skinned peoples of South, see, people itself is plural form, students. But when we say peoples, it means we are talking about different ethnic groups or the people coming from different countries or different societies. So that's why it has been used in plural. White skinned peoples of South Africa passed up their differences and erected a system of racial domination against the dark skinned peoples of their own land. He says that it is very painful living on the born and brought up on the same land and still such a great discrimination. There was such a chasm of differentiation between the white and the black. And he says that it was really painful. Thank God the system has come to an end finally. The structure they created formed a basis of one of the harshest, most inhuman societies the world has ever known. And because of this apartheid custom, which custom and system is talking about? Apartheid custom means the discrimination done on the basis of the skin color as well as the ethnicity. So he says that this made South African community the worst community in the world, the worst society in the world. It brought a lot of defame to the country also. And it gave a lot of trouble to the black. Definitely they underwent a lot of pain and miseries. Now in the last decade of the 20th century and my own 8th decade, as a man, that system had been overturned forever and replaced by the one recognized rights and freedoms of all peoples regardless of their color of their skin. But thank God finally all these things have come to an end. Now that had come, though the unimaginable sacrifice of thousands of my people whose suffering and courage can never be counted or repaid. Thousands of the people contributed in this struggle. They contributed to the Republic government of South Africa. I felt that day that I have on so many other days that I was simply the sum of all those African patriots who had gone before me. He says that my character is the development, and that development happened. How? That development happened because of the motivation I received from my foregoing patriots. There was a long line of the people. There was a big group of the people who fought for this community. Yes, even white were fighting for the black. There were few people in the white community who were standing by the side of the black. They said that no, if they are black in color, it doesn't mean that they are not human beings. So he says that everybody who fought for my community inspired me a lot, motivated me a lot, and I learned so many things. I am the result of all those patriots. My character is the result of the teachings of all those people. That long and noble line ended. Yes, the people who fought for this country and for my community are no more in this world now. They have gone to the heavenly abode and now begin again with me. But the same custom has started with me. I am their representative now. I'll continue their fight. I'll see that nothing goes wrong with my community. I'll be working like a leader for them now. I was pained that I was not able to thank them and that they were not able to see what their sacrifices had wrought. And this generally happens, students, whenever we achieve something and we find the people are missing from the scenario, it gives us a tremendous loss because they are in the foundation. All those people who are no more in this world, Nelson Mandela says that they are in the foundation of the freedom of South Africa. But today they are not alive, and this gives me a lot of pain. But still, I thank them from the depth of my heart. Byproduct of apartheid system and the custom. He says that these are the great people you can see over here. All these 6 people, the photos over there, these are the great revolutionary and political leaders and social reformers of South Africa. And he says that these are the byproduct of apartheid system. Because they came at front and started fighting against the government, They did not want that the black should be treated like animals, or they should be treated inhumanly and cruelly and badly. So the policy of apartheid created a deep and lasting wound in my country. It hurt the emotions of my people. Because whenever we look down at people, when we insult them, we think them to be inferior, they feel hurt. And same happened with the black community of South Africa. So he says that the behavior of the white, the treatment of the white hurt the emotions of my community. All of us will spend many years, if not generations, recovering from that. And it will take a long time to recover from those memories, those hurts and those wounds. It will take some time, at least, if not much of the time, then it will take some time to get normal, to forget all those things. But the decades of oppression and brutality had another unintended effect, and that was it produced these great souls. Truth wealth of South Africa. Nelson Mandela says that South Africa is rich in minerals and gems that lie beneath under the surface of the soil. But I have always known that its greatest wealth is its people. But he says that the diamonds and all the minerals and other resources, natural resources, they are not the true wealth of the country. The true wealth of country is the people of my country. They are the true gems. They are the finer and truer than the purest diamonds. He says it's from these comrades, all those people who together fought for the liberation and the freedom of the black. In the struggle that I learned the meaning of courage. Said that I looked at the style of these people. I looked at the way they used to look at the life and used to do work for the community in a very fearless way. By the way, all the times the government and the police, they were after their lives, but they were never afraid. They had to do something for the well-being and the welfare of the black community, and they continued doing. Yes, they had to suffer a lot at the hand of the white people, but yes, they never gave up. They never bowed down. They fought back fiercely and strongly. And he said that I learned this courage from my comrades. I worked with them. I learned a big lesson, how to become fearless. The situations and conditions made me bold and courageous man. Time and again, I have seen men and women risk and give their lives for an idea. The people were ready to die for the sake of the community. And this sense of their spirit, it motivated me a lot. It gave me strength. It gave me power to struggle further and to work very hard. I have seen men stand up to attacks and torture without breaking. Yes, they were badly tortured by the people, police, and the white authorities, but they never gave up. They never stopped the struggle. They continued with that, showing a strength and resilience that defines the imagination. Defies the imagination means the height of the torture can't be even imagined. Such type of the tortures and miseries and pains were given to the people, but despite that, they never, that left the ground. They stood very firmly and true to their demands. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear. Students, this is very important part from here to over here. Just take it down and a question can be framed over here from these lines. I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. This is the philosophy of Nelson Mandela. He said that courage is not the absence of fear. Rather, it is the victory over fear. How we control. Courageous people are not free from fear. Fear is a very basic emotion which is found in every human being, maybe different in amount. But yes, fear is always there in the heart of the people. But he says that brave are the people, courageous are those people who know how to control that fear, how to manage that fear. So this is the thing said that I learned from there. And the brave man is not who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear. The people who know how to control the fear are brave people in the true sense of the word. Mandela's philosophy of love and hate. Nelson Mandela says that no one is born hating another person. We can see the young children. Nelson Mandela speaking very true. When we see the young children, 2, 3, 4, 5 years old, playing in the street, there is hardly any discrimination. They don't know which child comes from which type of the background. Whether they are coming from the rich family background, they are coming from mediocre families, or they are coming from the BPL families, they play together, enjoy like anything. But once they start growing up, the differentiation sets in their mind, and it needs a training. So he says that the person, because of their color, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and this is a type of training. It's a learning. Hate need to be taught. Unless until human beings are trained and taught hatred, they can't hate. You can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. But he says that the other side is also truth. If we can teach people how to hate, we can teach people how to love also. And that is easier than teaching how to hate. How to love is easier to be taught how to hate. Because he says that love comes more natural to human heart than its opposite. What is this opposite? Opposite of love is hate. Even in the grimmest times in prison, where my comrades and I were pushed to our limits, means when we were tortured to the extreme, then also says that I would see the glimmer of humanity. Some, that some remains of humanity, some sign of humanity, some flash of humanity in the eyes of one of the guards. The same guard was perpetuating atrocity on these people. He was torturing and giving a lot of pain to them, but his eyes were full of sympathy towards them. He was torturing them. Why? Because his government had assigned him the duty to torture them. But as a human being, his eyes were filled with the sympathy, pity towards those people. And he says that this is the proof that love is stronger than hate. If taught properly, it wins over hate. But it was enough to reassure me and keep me going. When I looked into the eyes of that guard, it gave me strength that somewhere deep down in his heart, he is loving, he is sympathizing with us. And it gave me strength to continue my life further, continue the struggle also. Man's goodness is a flame that can be hidden but never extinguished. The goodness, the quality of goodness cannot be terminated permanently from the people. Yes, for time being, it can be pushed to the background. It's true. It's natural also. It can be pushed at the background, but it cannot be terminated. It cannot be destroyed completely. This is the philosophy of Nelson Mandela. 2 obligations. Nelson Mandela says that every human being has 2 obligations, 2 duties. One is towards his family members, another is towards his country, or you may call society, you may call community. In life, every man has twin obligations. Obligations to his family, to his parents, to his wife, children, all these people, and obligation to his people. People means community and country. His community, his country. In civil and human society, each man is able to fulfill those obligations according to his own inclination. Inclination means interest and his abilities. If the country is free, democratic, if we are having democratic country, we are free to serve our family members and our people, our community, our society the way we want. He says that it is possible for those people. But he says that, but in a country like South Africa, it was almost impossible for a man of my birth and color, because he comes from a tribal family and he comes from the black community. So says that to do all these things was not possible. If I wanted to do something for the good and for the well-being of my people, then the white were after me. I was arrested, I was imprisoned and sent into the prisons. So it was not possible for we people. If we wanted to do something good for the people, we were not allowed. In South Africa, a man of color who attempted to live a human being was punished and isolated. If we tried to just work for the people, we were arrested, taken away forcibly, and imprisoned. In South Africa, a man who tried to fulfill his duty to his people was inevitably ripped from his family, forcibly taken away from his family members. In India also, when we were subject to the British, there was a term known, a punishment, type of punishment was there, Kala Pani ki saza. So what used to happen, people were arrested, they were forcibly taken away from their homes, and they were imprisoned into the islands far away. They died over there, family members knew nothing about them. That type of the punishment was known as Kala Pani. Same over here, he said that if we try to just do something for the good of our community, we are ripped from our family, means we are forcibly taken away from the family members and we are imprisoned somewhere in the prisons. Was forced to live a life apart, a twilight existence of secrecy and rebellion. Twilight is the word used for evening. In evening, we know it's a time when the day and night meet. Day stands for clarity, night stands for unclarity. So he said that it was a twilight. We were imprisoned in those areas, those places where every type of the news about the society did not reach to we people. It was a twilight existence. Something reached, something did not reach. A little we knew about what was happening, but everything was not reaching to we people. It was twilight existence. The things were kept secret, and that rebellion type of the activities were not possible over there. I did not in the beginning choose to place to my people above my family. He says that in the beginning, when I was child, so my family was my first priority. Community was secondary to me. My family was first to me. But in attempting to serve my people, I found that I was prevented from fulfilling my obligations as a son, as a brother, as a father, and as a husband also. But the day I became a rebellion, I became a revolutionary. Government came in between me and my family members and my community member. I wanted to do something for their good, for their well-being, but I was not allowed. Freedom to Mandela. How he thinks about freedom when he was a child and later on when he grew mature. So how did he look at the concept of freedom? He says that free from hunger. In childhood, he says that I used to think that when you are hungry and you have meal to eat, it means you are free. You want to run and you are free. You are free to swim, because he was a tribal and coming from a royal tribal family, a rich and well-to-do tribal family. So obviously he was having some privileges which were not that much natural to other people. And roast meals under the stars, to ride the bulls, and all these things were possible if I was abiding by the rules of my tribe. So I was given freedom to do all these things. Yes, in his childhood he knew this was the freedom, but later on when he became mature, he says that my childhood freedom seemed just an illusion. It was not the freedom in the true sense of the word. After being mature, I found that I had already lost the freedom of reading, because the black community people were not allowed to get education. I wanted to read, I was not allowed by the government. Doing my choice, whatever the activities I wanted to do, so limitations were put on me and my activities. Exploring my potential, I couldn't do to realize my potential. Potential means whatever the qualities I am having, I was not allowed to realize those potentials. I was not allowed to work according to my qualities. My choices were not allowed me to be realized, because government was always there. There was separate constitution for the black and a separate constitution for the white, and the black were having very limited opportunities. Communal differentiation forced Mandela to join ANC. And finally, when he grew mature, he became young and he came to know about all these discriminations and differences. He couldn't hold himself and he jumped into the fight of freedom for the black. And he said that he joined ANC, African National Congress. Transformation of Mandela. Once he became a revolutionary, he started working with other revolutionaries in ANC. He says that a change happened into my personality. What is that change? It can be a question, students, so you just take down the things very appropriately and carefully. He said that it was this desire for the freedom of my people to live their lives with dignity and self-respect. He said that I wanted to give a life to my community where they could feel two human beings, they could enjoy all the freedoms and rights which are due to the human beings. They could live with dignity and with respect. That animated my life, and this desire of giving them a healthy and happy life animated my life, inspired me a lot and motivated me a lot. It injected a fire into my vein to do something for the good of my society. That transformed a frightened young man into a bold one. Earlier, I was a frightened man. I used to fear a lot. But this desire to improve the lot of my people, it transformed me, changed me from a fearful person to fearless person. I became bold. That drove a law-abiding attorney to become a criminal. Earlier, I used to respect and abide by the rules and regulations of the country, the law or the constitution set up by the white. But now I started breaking the law. And we know that the person who breaks law is known as criminal. So say that then I became criminal, obviously in the eyes of the government. That turned a family-loving husband into man without home. Earlier, I loved my family members and I used to do a lot of for my family members. But later on, when I started working for the community, so obviously the government authorities were always after his life. So he used to move from pole to post. He used to wander from one place to another place to hide himself from being arrested. So he says that I became a homeless wanderer. Life living like a man, like a monk, and I am no more virtuous to self-sacrificing than next man. He says that obviously then when I started just struggling for the freedom of my community, I came to know that it was not me alone, it was not I alone who was working that much hard and struggling and sacrificing. Rather, every person in the community was working the same way. But I found that I could not even enjoy the poor and the limited freedoms I was allowed when I knew my people were not free. I was having, as I told that he comes from the royal tribal family, a well-to-do and rich family, he was having some privileges which were not with the other, you can say, poor people in his community. But he says that I can't enjoy those privileges. I can't use them. I have those rights, but I don't want to use. Why? When I see the people of my community are suffering, how can I enjoy? First, I wanted to bring a change in their life. Then only I'll use my privileges, not before. He was driven with this sense. Freedom is indivisible. He says that freedom cannot be divided. It's not, you can say, divisible. It's indivisible. The chains of any one of my people were the chains on all of them, and the chains of all my people were the chains on me. He says that till the time the single person of my community is slave, is not getting right of equality, it means the community is not free. I am also not free. Nobody is free. Freedom only means every person of the black community, the tribal community, has got all the required and desired rights. Then only he says that it can be the true freedom, otherwise not. He says that I knew the oppressor must be liberated just as surely as the oppressed. He says that oppressor and oppressed. In a way, both are slaves. The oppressed one means the person who is in the control of other beings. That is oppressed. And oppressor means the person who controls others. So the white were the oppressor and the black were the oppressed. And he says that we were the slaves as well as the white also were slaves. Both the parties were slaves. How both the parties were slaves? He says that we were slaves physically and constitutionally. We were given the less rights. But they were the slaves of their narrow-mindedness, their thinking, their behavior. So both parties were slaves. No party was free. And freedom, the foundation of the freedom can be laid only on the foundation of love. It can be founded on love itself. When both will start working towards each other, for each other, when the black and the white will start loving each other, respecting each other, then only the true freedom would happen. This was the philosophy of Nelson Mandela. Very deep and profound philosophy. A man who takes away another man's freedom is prison of hatred. Hatred is the emotion. He is chained in the shackles of his own hatred, that emotion. He is locked behind the bars of prejudice, differentiation, discrimination, and narrow-mindedness. I am not truly free if I am taking away someone else's freedom. Just as surely as I am not free when my freedom is taken from me, the oppressed and the oppressor alike are robbed of their humanity. Humanity is the true freedom in the eyes and in the opinion of Nelson Mandela. So students, this was the chapter. I think I touched upon all the important points and you got the gist and the sense of the lesson. Now we'll come with the next video on the next topic, next chapter. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.